And now we're with Dan Workman, who is the artistic director at Black Hills Playhouse. Tell us a little bit about the Playhouse history.
Oh, sure. Well, the Playhouse was started in 1946 by Dr. Warren M. Lee, who was a professor, professor at the University of South Dakota. So he started it in 1946. The buildings that used to be here were all part of the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps, and this was on the site of Camp Lodge, which was built in 1934, which housed a lot of the men who were responsible for building the roads in Custer State Park. I think they might have also been helping with the creation of the reservoirs that are throughout here. But after World War II, Doc Lee said, hey, can I use some of those buildings, and I want to start a summer theater out there. So the state said, yeah, sure, here, use this. And so they started doing theater, and then 10 years later they built this theater, which is the Warren M. Lee Theater. And now this summer we're doing it in what we're calling the New Frontier Theater. Oh. We're calling it the New Frontier Theater because in 1947, the second year that the Playhouse was in operation, they built a tent theater over by Legion Lake, and Doc Lee called it the Frontier Theater. So we're going back to our history, and we're calling this the New Frontier Theater.
That's right, yeah, because you obviously had to take a year off last year, like everyone in the world. So now you're doing things a little differently this summer. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, you know, we started last summer with having to cancel that season, which made me brokenhearted. But we kept moving forward, and so we started to plan, well, if this is long-lasting, how are we going to be able to survive as a theater company? So we started thinking about how can we do theater next summer, no matter what happens. How can we make sure that we're able to do it? So we started planning, and we thought, well, let's do something outside. We can mitigate some of the effects. We can do that. We can maybe do some social distancing. We can do whatever the guidelines are, and we can figure out to make that happen. So we started to create this plan of, all right, let's do something outside. And it takes a lot of planning to pull a season off. You know, a typical season, we start planning as soon as the last season is done. And so we've been working on this outdoor plan for a long time, and our designers and all of our production personnel, they have been working on presenting outdoors. And so even though it is much safer now than it was 2 months ago, at this point in time, we are so invested in how we're going to do this summer that there's no way that we could just simply pick it up and move it back inside.